Well, hey, welcome everyone. This is our second watch party. I'm Dylan, and I am joined by some wonderful people today. We have some of our Voice of FEMBA nominees from the class of 2021. Um, and we also have some other special guests. Who I'll introduce in a moment, including our faculty member, Professor Scheinrock. But the whole idea of this, I'm going to record this, and I'm going to see if I can record it more accurately this time, so I can send the link to everybody who can't join. Um, but we all have a story to share, and graduate school is a really concentrated, committed time to write our story, and we all have a voice to find. Our interim dean, Al Osborne, a couple years back, he said, one of the things that the top MBA programs and in the medium and the lower rank programs, all graduate management programs wrestle with two things that are really ephemeral and they're difficult and you can't exactly teach them. You have to almost learn them by living. But one is how to recognize power as it flows within a modern organization, how to look for it and align with it, and pull some towards your projects and your career and your endeavors. And the second thing that's difficult to teach is how to find your voice, how to raise your voice in the world and raise your hand and, hey world, look at me. I have an idea. I went to grad school. I think I can make a difference. And so this Voice of FEMBA initiative, we are really running this experiment this year with some first-person digital storytelling. And the goal is to really create a library of digital content directly from our student leaders for new admits, such as what we're sharing with today, and also for the next generation, for next year and beyond. So this Voice of FEMBA for the class of 2021, hearing from our third year students is really exciting. FEMBA's always been the #1 program in Southern California, 25 years that they've had the rankings. And the Global Access Program and the Business Creation Option, our master's thesis, master's capstone, it's not really a thesis, but our master's capstone is why. It's a world-class MBA experience. It's a six-month experience embedded into the FEMBA program that none of our peer schools in the part-time arena have anything that can match this. A 6-month team-based, self-paced, hands-on learning practicum, a chance to test drive your MBA while you're still getting your MBA, with a faculty advisor, with a team of your peers, and with a really daunting 6-month engagement. The Global Access Program, if you haven't learned the lingo yet, if you're one of our new students, the GAP program is our longer running program. You're matched with an international high-tech, high-growth company, and two of our Voice of FEMBA guests today did the GAP program. And then our younger, the younger sibling in the field study offering is the BCO, or the business creation option, where you launch your own thing. And Gabi's going to tell us about her creativity subscription box, and then James is going to talk about launching a traditional Thai snack. Some real creative stuff. So today you're gonna meet 4 of our Voice of FEMBA nominees, nominated by Professor Scheinrock and the faculty advisors. These are real leaders. These are real 2021 students. They're just completed, so they're a month past the finish line of either GAP or BCO, and hopefully, parentheses, hopefully this is the one and only ever pandemic generation. So these really are leaders. They had to do the COVID dance. They had to do the COVID pivot. They had to, and you'll hear that in a couple of the videos, like, how do we make the most of this situation? And they really did that. And at the end of the 6 months, Professor Scheinrock asked the faculty advisors for these nominees. So today, the format, I'm not going to talk much anymore. Other than let me just I'll introduce our 4 panelists.
He can't help himself.
I can't help not talking more. Okay, so I'm a hypocrite and a liar. I will talk a tiny bit more, but I'll try to keep it tight. Before I introduce our four Voice of FEMBAs, we're going to introduce each person similar, for those of you who were here last week, similar to how we did last week. But I do want to introduce Professor Scheinrock, Roy Quinto, Samantha Holland, Darcy Hitt, and Drew Mandanock. So Professor Scheinrock is the head faculty person accountable for the largest component of our MBA offering. So his accountability is huge. Roy is on our team. You probably have met Roy already. our FEMBA admissions team, and Samantha, Drew, and Darcy and James, actually, he has two hats, are the majority of our Drive Time Voice of FEMBA team. So thank you guys all for joining this watch party. You really honor us with your presence. Jeff, would you like to say anything, to this cohort who had to do the whole thing
Well,
during COVID?
yeah, it was so yeah, I took over Gap in July, a week before the launch. The gentleman who ran it for the first 25 years retired from the school. That was Bob Foster. And so the dean promoted me to an assistant dean, and I'm not only responsible for GAP and BCO, but also the full-time program AMR and the executive MBA SMR and all the BCO cohorts. So actually every student at Anderson has to go through one of these programs. So it's a big responsibility. We're consolidating all of the programs, making all of the academic rigor and all the requirements consistent across all the programs. I can tell you I'm in the middle of recruiting GAP companies for next year already. So you feel bad for me. I've been on calls with Finland from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. 6 nights in a row. And interviewed 23 companies so far. I'm doing New Zealand in 2 weeks, and then a second cohort of Finland, and then Sweden, and then Italy, and then Brazil, and so we're starting to recruit. The deadline for applications for the company is April 1st, and then the whole process starts again. So it's like it never ends. But I'm excited. GAP is. I worked in GAP for 5 years as a faculty advisor, and I'm proud of the students. I've already seen their voice of FEMBA and what they said about GAP and BCO. I'm also, so you're either going to do GAP or you're going to do BCO. And the largest program right now, at least this current year at Anderson, is BCO, because it takes the full-time, the FEMBAs and the EMBAs. I'll give you an idea. We had, we'll probably have 40 GAP teams this coming year. We have 60 BCO teams across all the cohorts. And then also the full-time programs, another 40 or 50 teams. So a lot of teams, a lot of students, great program. I have students coming back to me years after they graduate telling me what they learned in GAP or any of the field studies has been instrumental in their career. So I'm honored to be running it, and I work for you. And so my job is to make it better, and I will try to do that. So I will now shut up.
Well,
and I got my COVID vaccination yesterday, the first shot of Pfizer. So
thank God.
Yeah, I'm that old, and so and I didn't cry. It was great so far. So yeah.
Well, and while we're in the world of good news, America acted like a grown-up this week. Yay!
Yeah, that's true. I should point out, not that we're just grown-ups, but I should point out that we are telling, and I should tell this to the students. So as of right now, for GAP, we're telling all the companies that we don't know if we're going to be on campus for the launch in July. We're guided by the LA County Health Department. So you'll get the latest information here right now. We're telling them that we're going to, even if they open it up to be on campus, we will never require the companies to fly here from around the world if they're uncomfortable. We will never ask the students to come on campus if they're uncomfortable. So we're planning on doing both in-person and remote. It's going to even get more complicated this year. But God. we will never demand, the school will never demand, if, let's say, assume you're a student and you're uncomfortable coming to campus in July, we won't force you to come to campus. We'll do it both with campus and then do a remote simultaneous. So we're preparing for the worst case and hoping for the best. So now I'll be quiet.
No worries. Well, I mean, and honestly, thank you for joining us on a Friday afternoon. I know you have 1,000 things, but at least you don't have to be in Finland for 3 weeks right now doing your interview.
Right. Yeah, I just got to be up at 4 a.m.
That's, the global modern time frame. Well, and I think in the interest of time, I think what'll be, so the order that I had, I thought I've watched all the videos again, and I love them all. I think the order I want to do is Gabi, and then Rhett, and then Sahara, and then James, because I think that gives us BCO, GAP, GAP, BCO. So I think what I want to do is just let each person kind of introduce themselves, then I'll show the video. And then I think we'll have the second person introduce themselves. It'll take like 20 minutes. Let's just show the videos with an introduction each one. And then that'll leave us about 20 minutes at the end. And we can acknowledge each other, cross-reference, ask questions like that. And then we'll be done by 5:30 for sure. So with no further ado, I'll say a quick, Gabi Hecht is everyone today's class of 2021. So 6 months from graduation, is a senior manager at Apple working in talent development with, as you will hear, entrepreneurship aspirations. She's also a Trojan, fight on, I forget the hand signal. Sorry, I'm from Texas. Yeah, that one. She's, so we got, see, look, diversity and inclusion. There it is right now. We're the most open-minded, darn it. And her business creation option team, actually, as I said earlier, worked on a creativity subscription box for, this is so cool. It's for people like you all, for creative young professionals. So Gabi, you get to go first. Anything, you'd like to say about anything to watch for in the video, or kind of reflections on BCO, or kind of like what it is, any orienters that you could offer?
Sure. Well, thank you for the wonderful introduction, and I'm surprised that you outed me as my Trojan, but yes, I am a proud Trojan fan. But with that being said, very, very happy that I came to UCLA and Anderson for my MBA, and truly actually was researching MBA programs. I talked a little bit about it in the video, but I just want to give you context that I found FEMBA in January of 2018. I applied in April of 2018. So it was with including taking and studying for my GRE and getting my letter of recommendation from my boss, who was very unhappy that I was going to UCLA Anderson because she was also a Trojan. Doubly difficult. It was a little challenging, but truly just have loved it. And it really just spoke to me from a space of just connection and camaraderie. And I'll let the video share, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but really kind of wanted to do BCO from the start. I'm actually the BCO representative on FEMBA Council as well. So trying to help work through it with Jeff and the team, and really making BCO even better for future generations.
Awesome. All right. Well, with no further ado, and I got taught last week, thank you. I got taught last week, if I say share video sound, I think it'll be better. So if I can do this, I will now show Gabi's video. Share computer sound. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Gabriella Hecht, class of 2021, and I work for Apple as a senior manager in retail. I chose UCLA Anderson for my MBA because I really wanted to enhance my career at Apple, moving into the people side, as we call it, but really it's the human resources side of the business. I've always been passionate about recruitment, talent development, talent retention, and I wanted to be able to help support the company from a much broader perspective and move into the corporate side of things. And so I chose UCLA Anderson as a hope to help enhance my ability to operate at a more macro perspective. I knew I wanted to, I loved working with people. I love being a part of the Apple culture, especially the culture in retail, but I really knew that I had a passion for and ability to help a much greater number of people in the company. And so my hope with my MBA is to reach that goal. I also wanted to dip my toes into entrepreneurship. I always had a curiosity and a passion for potentially starting my own business down the line. And I knew that getting my MBA would give me the broad scope of skill sets that I would need in order to understand what that world would entail. I also chose UCLA Anderson because I went to undergrad at USC and I wanted to broaden my horizons as part of my graduate degree. So even though I went to USC for my undergrad, I'm very, very excited that I chose UCLA Anderson for my MBA. I chose BCO for my field study because I really wanted to experience startup culture and see what it would be like to take a unique, novel idea through a business plan, through the mandatory primary research that's required to really vet the idea and see if it's something that could be a new business in a more of a structured, safe, kind of daring to fail environment. There's so many resources at Anderson. There's so many different opportunities to explore an idea, and really a true idea, and see if it has any merit. So during BCO, my team and I were able to actually launch a business, and we launched a creativity subscription box designed to help busy young professionals reduce stress and anxiety by means of creative activities. And in doing so, we were able to interview industry experts, really test so many beta and minimally viable product versions of our product to get hands-on feedback, to get immediate insight into whether or not this was going to be a successful business. And through that process, I was familiar with the idea since its inception in our very first entrepreneurship class with one of my good friends, helped it along in our business plan development class, where we created the business plan for this business, and then brought it into BCO, where we did our primary research, created our product, and really defended it. And then by the end of BCO, we were so excited to actually launch it for a holiday box. So it was a really amazing opportunity to go through that culture, see what it was like, and really got my appetite whet for being an entrepreneur. Having just completed BCO, I'm so excited to take forward into my career a number of different learns and wins from that experience. First and foremost, I was really able to hone my project management skills as a part of that cohort. I really wanted to lean in and be that voice, as that was really where my career was geared towards, and what I was trying to transition into with my career at Apple, and still to this day. So I was able to really flex those skills and also understand that I really wanted to be exploring an entrepreneurship space as well. And so one of my good friends from my cohort, class of 2021, section 3, and I are starting a business outside of this as well. And both of us went through BCO. We went through that experience of creating a business from the ground up, and have since come together and are looking to start a separate entity. And we really are utilizing a lot of the lessons we're taking from not just BCO, but really our entire Anderson experience. I'm truly honored to be selected by the faculty as a voice of FEMBA for BCO. I really hope my story encourages you to dare to be different, try something that really is out of your norm, out of your scope. I was looking at graduate programs and didn't really know where I was going to go, didn't even know if I wanted to be getting my MBA, and it really wasn't until I came across Anderson, and specifically the FEMBA program, that it just spoke to me. And it really aligned with my ability to stay employed, stay on track and on target, to continue growing in my career and not put a pause on that, while at the same time really enhancing my desire to move into different areas in my career, to be able to move into different sections with Apple. And so I was able to do this concurrently, and it was truly the best experience I could have asked for academically, from a network perspective, from a social perspective, from being able to meet like-minded individuals who really challenged and pushed me to explore out of my comfort zone. The classes that I took were just so inspiring, in the sense that I learned skill sets that I had never even anticipated learning before, or learning and liking. I was surprised that I had an aptitude and a passion for different things like accounting that never would have crossed my mind beforehand. For entrepreneurship, where I'm now exploring a business with one of my partners from the program. I really encourage you to apply. Just put yourself out there. I think I did the application period in a matter of 4 months, because I was so eager to be part of this program, and I hope you are as well. It's truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I am so grateful that I took the chance to do.
Yes. All right, Gabi. Okay, this is awesome. I got a little chills. Thank you. It does take a little courage to put yourself out there And I really appreciate all of your voices of FEMBA. But if this is a relay race, if this is a 4-person relay race, you always got to have a strong start. So that was an incredibly strong start. You took the baton right out of the gate. So thank you for that. I really love how you cross-reference your kind of why MBA, like what you wanted to go back to school to get with what you actually created. I just love that. And the daring to fail, dare to be different, chance to really vet your ideas, some specifics like project management, the utility of that right here, right now at Apple, and then two reps to start something, both the creativity subscription box and then this, because it's a second thing that you're doing with the classmate. That's beyond BCO, right?
Yeah. So Matt Long and I were in 2 different BCO groups, and we're both avid cat lovers, and together with my boyfriend outside of Anderson, we became very close, and I mentioned the idea to Matt, one day when I was actually interviewing him as a beta tester for Creative Juice, which was our product, and we got talking, and so yeah, I have carpet and PVC pipe and wood all over my apartment because we're building modular cat trees. So if you're cat lovers, stay tuned.
Oh, how cool. Well, I've been wondering, because every Zoom I'm on with student leaders, it's like, I haven't seen a cat this entire COVID. I've seen 100 dogs, but no cats. So I'm glad to know there are.
Running around behind me, so they'll make their appearance.
Awesome. Okay. Well, just well done. And yeah, well done. And thank you for letting me have you go first. So our second video is Rhett Rayos, also 21, from Shopcore Property, which is a Blackstone entity. And Rhett did the Global Access program and wanted to learn a new industry, got some, similar to Gabi with project management, got some great learning during GAP that he could take right back to his team at work. Worked with a team from Finland, got some project and client management experience. And Rhett, anything you'd like to say by way of introduction or just before we show your video?
Yeah, sure. I have a slightly different origin story than Gabi's. I actually first took the GMAT in 2011, like as I graduated undergrad, and I always knew that I wanted to do an MBA program, but never knew when I wanted to pause and step away from my career and go back. And so when I found Anderson, it really spoke to me because it seemed like it really did a great job of creating community and connection in its part-time program, which is really what was the kind of cinched the deal for me in terms of choosing where to go. And it's something it really delivered on. I don't think I talked about it enough in the video, but there is really a great sense of community and camaraderie with your cohort and with the program overall. And the GAP program especially, it was just really amazing to work with a team of people who had very different professional experiences than me, but we were able to come together and really mesh and really learn from each other throughout the process. So I think that the promise of community is why I was drawn to Anderson, and it really delivered on that. So that's the only thing that's not in the video, which mine's a little shorter.
That's okay. Hey, yeah. Some people don't have to say so many words to communicate. I'm jealous of such people. All right. Well, with no further ado, let's show Rhett's video. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Rhett Rayos, FEMBA class of 2021. I work for Shopcore Properties, which is Blackstone's open-air retail real estate investment platform, as the director of FP&A. I chose UCLA Anderson for my MBA experience because of the unique opportunity provided by the hybrid program. I knew that I wanted to remain fully engaged in and continue to advance my career, but at the same time, I'd always wanted a fully immersive, on-campus MBA experience. That made the hybrid program a perfect match. I chose GAP for my field study because of the opportunity to work with an international company and to learn an entirely new industry. During GAP, my team and I worked with a Finnish SaaS company that was not just looking to expand its US business, but was looking to do so by developing and launching an entirely new project. As such, one of the more difficult aspects of our job was how to define the scope of our project, adhere to that scope, and at the same time remain open to new facts on the ground as they continued to emerge. Successfully navigating that process built new skills and confidence in both project and client management that I know will pay dividends as my career continues. Having just completed GAP, I'm excited to take forward many learnings into my career, including the newfound realization that no or not right now can be just as valuable an answer when deploying resources as yes or right away, which is something I think that my team at work will especially appreciate when we're navigating which new projects to take on. I'm honored to be selected by the faculty as a voice of FEMBA for GAP. I hope my story encourages you to explore all that Anderson has to offer.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Rhett. I love it. I love it. I love it. I heard this is the third time I've heard it, and I heard even more this time. Yeah, yeah. Like if I'm a Finnish company, I want to expand into the U.S. How does one go about that? You know, that's the test drive your MBA in real time. You know, with a real.
I'm worried about him. I think he said Swedish, not Finnish, but that's okay.
Uh-oh, who got it wrong? Here. It's one of those cold, one of those cold northern countries.
It's fine. They're like Baltic Nordic. It's
Okay, then it's good. Okay.
We're all Vikings, you know.
Yes, all those people who are 6'5" and above, they all blend together. So I love that part of your story, Rhett. You know, I like the project and client management, you know, defining the scope, but staying open, you know, like that's all of those are those subtle X factor skills that you can't just, I mean, you can read a case about it, but then to actually go do it. Did you know your GAP teammates before? Was that the first time you'd worked together, or was it a new team?
I actually had worked with everyone on the team before in different teams, and everybody was from the Flex program as well. So it was a reunion of teams to some extent.
Nice, nice. And yeah, like you mentioned in your intro, this just warms my heart that you saw community as part of the culture of Anderson when you were checking out your choice group, and then that your experience at Anderson was community. That's what Roy and us on the admissions team, you know, our goal is you know, we want to be optimistic, but we also want to be accurate, you know, and so I just love it when the presentation of Anderson and your experience of Anderson align, because that's the goal. You know, we think UCLA is wonderful, but UCLA is challenging and it's a big place. So, you know, it's not for everybody, but if you want the brass ring, if you want to aim really high and you want to do that in a collaborative atmosphere, Dean Olian used to say, we're not a sharp elbow, pointy knee environment. So that just warms my heart that you had the experience of community. Excellent. All right. So number 3. So Sahara Chhabra Augustine has changed her name during the program because she just decided to start her family during the program. And she started her family with a fellow classmate. So it's not only is Sahara in and of herself incredible, but she's also part of a FEMBA team in more ways than one. And Sahara's story is a GAP story. And now I think I've listened to yours like 5 times now, Sahara. I'll listen to it again today. So, you know, you wanted to learn about consulting. Well, I'm sorry. So Sahara is at Nordstrom Corp, where she's a senior project manager in strategic and digital operations, which is a role she loves, which is one of 2 promotions during FEMBA. But she chose GAP, as you'll hear, to learn about consulting, to learn how to drive strategic decisions. I love this part. And I did this. Look, guys, this is my little intro for today. I used my Post-its. She wanted to practice her public speaking. Yes, I still use the Post-its from Stand and Deliver. So she actually chose GAP and chose the opportunity to really sharpen that part of her toolkit, that public speaking confidence. And then I love in your story how your GAP experience actually did align with that second promotion. So there was that kind of real-time benefit, which Gabi and Rhett have already alluded to. So it's just kind of the synergy that's possible. So Sahara, anything you would like to say to introduce yourself or to prelude to your video?
Thank you, James, for that secondary intro. But yeah, clarification, my husband and I knew each other well before we started the program.
Oh, come on, let him dream. Let him dream.
But you can find love during FEMBA. You absolutely can. I was already in love, so I had another space in my heart to fill, which was UCLA. And so I'm here today because, like Rhett said, the idea of community, especially being a hybrid student, I wanted a school that was very globally recognized, that had global opportunities, and UCLA gave me exactly that. I didn't live in LA, and so to be able to have the flexibility to still attend UCLA, have a cohort of students, and like Rhett said, build that community is truly a really unique experience that very few programs allow. And so I'm so excited to have been a part of this program and to have done GAP. And I hope you guys enjoy my video.
All right, thank you. And you're in Seattle, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and have you been in Seattle the whole time?
My husband and I, bless him, he lived with his in-laws for 12 weeks in Dallas. But yeah, we've pretty much been in Seattle for the whole time of UCLA.
Yeah, okay. So I just, just in the world of even pre-COVID, we were already, expanding our footprint, and that's probably just only going to continue. So, all right, with no further ado, let us see Sahara's video.
Hi, my name is Sahara Chhabra Augustine, and I'm a FEMBA class of 2021. I work for Nordstrom Corporate as a Senior Project Manager of Strategic and Digital Operations. I chose UCLA Anderson for my MBA because I wanted to enhance my career. It's definitely paid off. When I started the program back in 2018, I was a junior program manager, and through the program, I've managed to get 2 promotions and end up in a role that I absolutely love. I've been with the same company throughout my entire career, but I've always been interested in a career in consulting. So I chose GAP so that I could get some consulting experiences while being in a safe space to figure out if that's something that I really wanted to do one day. I wanted to understand how to drive strategic decisions and how to look at a company holistically and understand what strategies to implement to make sure that it's successful. Right now in my job, I am responsible for executing and implementing programs and projects that contribute to strategic initiatives. So I wanted to understand what actually went into defining those strategic initiatives. I've never been too comfortable with public speaking, so I thought that GAP would be a great opportunity for me to enhance those skills. GAP also aligned with a promotion that was going to require me to give executive level presentations on a weekly basis, so I chose to be the group presenter so that I could really hone in on those skills. Through my experiences of GAP, learning all about these different companies that I had to interview, I was able to learn how to synthesize a lot of data, identify key themes, and then bubble it up into a coherent presentation so that a leader who didn't have all of the details would still be able to make sense of what I was presenting. Having just completed my GAP experience, I'm excited to take forward the many learnings that I gained through GAP. I'm a far more eloquent and confident business person, and I know that this is going to take me leaps and bounds as I look to become a leader in the business world. I am so much more at ease with public speaking and feel like I can put together the right level of information to make compelling suggestions to any level of leadership. I'm also extremely grateful for the network that I was able to build. I had the opportunity to reach out to company executives from big and small companies across the country and even across the globe. Finally, I'm so grateful for GAP because I feel so much more confident being able to conduct business in a virtual setting. Regardless of COVID, business when conducted and across global corporations has to be done remotely. GAP gave me the confidence and the ability to be able to speak confidently to business leaders while with a screen in between us. I'm so grateful for GAP, and I am so fortunate to have had this experience. I'm honored to have been selected by the faculty as a voice of FEMBA for GAP. I hope my story encourages you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and take risks. GAP was the reason that I actually decided to apply to UCLA Anderson, and I'm so glad that I had this opportunity because I know that without it, I would not be as successful as I am today.
Very well done. Very well done. Ah, thank you, thank you, thank you, Sahara. Yes, the ability to speak confidently, and I love how it's not just public speaking like Toastmasters. The MBA level of it is in the face of all of this data, all of this primary research, all of these pathways. I'm now the trusted bridge between all of that effort and I like how you said, bubbling that up to something that a leader could look at and have an orienting sense of how to make an intelligent decision. That's just really, that's great because yeah, you don't open your mouth, nothing changes, right? So I love how you said that. That was great. Anything else? You're watching it now. Thank you. This is your second week to do this with us.
This
So
is my second week. So nope, nothing else. I think that you kind of covered the points that I made.
well, and similar to some of the memes earlier about community, seeing Anderson and saying, hey, I think that school does community well. You saw Anderson and said, hey, I think that gap thing is a differentiator. And and then you chose to you had the fork in the road, Gap or BCO, but you chose Gap. Because I'm always proud of Gap because it seems, well, what I see, and I'm gonna talk nice about Jeff for a minute. So just close your ears, Jeff. But if you look at how many faculty hours, like the faculty advisors who work with Gap, that's just the faculty effort to advise you guys through that, plus all of the 6 months of recruiting, because it is a 12-month-a-year thing. There's as much faculty effort in Gap as other schools put into their entire MBA. So that gives me I just think it's cool. Gap always reminds me of Hogwarts. In the grand hall where the faculty, where they all sit across Dumbledore and, where they're all sitting across the front. It's like in the rest of the MBA, it's only one faculty member in one class, but in Gap, you actually, you have this, and I mean, you guys, it was impacted because we didn't have the plenaries in Corn Hall, but I know that behind the scenes, how much the faculty are working with each other to deliver that experience. So, I do think it's a legitimate differentiator. It's not just something we like to brag about. It's like, just show me another program who has anything as broad and deep as that. And I haven't seen it. So, okay, stop. All right. So to have a great relay race, you need a strong start. You need the second and the third legs, and then you got to have your big closer. So here we come. James Feng, recovering management consultant, East Coast, West Coast transferee, 8 years at Accenture, but I'm past all that. Dropped the baton last summer. He's a FEMBA, his third year, just being an active student leader, and did BCO. And you'll get to hear about the launch of a traditional Thai snack. Wanted to test entrepreneurship, similar to what we heard from Gabi. A learning environment, a fail-safe learning environment. What's it take to research a product? What's it take to launch a product? How do you make a pivot? You'll hear him talk about that. Creativity, embracing challenge, the pivot of COVID, and I think he's going to run for mayor someday because he's got this great LA line in there. Like, why not LA? So James, anything you'd want anybody to know before we show your video?
Yeah, nothing much I want to add. I think the video says a lot. I would urge, if you need to use a restroom, to quickly go. The video, it's a little long, but I'm happy to be here in my virtual executive office with a view of Manhattan in Santa Monica, Los Angeles. But yeah, nothing further to add on my end.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. Final leg of the relay. Let's bring it on home with James Feng.
Hey everyone, my name is James Feng. I'm a FEMBA 2021, and I guess I did enough right things, or I brushed shoulders with the right people to be able to be here and share my experiences with you guys. And so hopefully you find this to be helpful. I recently just completed my business creation option, which is the BCO capstone project. And I completed all the requirements that I need to be able to graduate in the spring of 2021. And so that's super, super exciting. It's also a perfect opportunity now, as my time as an active student is winding down, to really reflect and think about, why I chose the program, what I learned from the program, my experiences in the program, and share those with you. And so hopefully it either resonates with you or it's helpful. So why I chose the UCLA Anderson program for my MBA, really a couple of reasons. I think the first is the opportunity for discovery. And so, I think a lot of people join an MBA with a certain mindset or a certain path that they want to go on. And as you learn and you discover new things, that could change. And what's really appealing to me about Anderson, it really fosters an environment to kind of support that self-discovery, right? So either through club events, learning from students, conferences, speaker series, they bring in sort of this world-class level of education and knowledge to really, lecture and inform you about different things for you to make decisions to either pursue different career paths, make certain transitions, or really to enhance where you are. And the second is really the supporting cast. I think, everyone sort of needs a team to kind of get where they want, especially for the people that are really looking to make a change. And when you're looking to make a change, right, you have to think about, how do I make this change? How do I transition? Who do I need to talk to? How do I put myself on the best path? And when you think about the supporting cast, the faculty, the career center, your classmates, the alumni, students from different programs, they're there to advise you, coach you, mentor you, and really help you position yourself to be as successful as possible as you make a transition into a career change possibly. And that was the other thing that was really attractive to me about Anderson. And then the third is obviously Los Angeles, right? The weather, the city, and the freaking championships, right? Like, how do you pass that up? And so that was the third thing that really attracted me to the program, was the city itself. And so, when I started the program, I was like a management consultant from New York. And now a couple of years later, a couple shades tanner, I'm in my new home in Los Angeles, and I really look back at the program and figure out and think about what it's really provided me. And it's provided me with a breadth of experiences, a toolkit that really provides me with the confidence to pursue any sort of career endeavor, whether it be tomorrow, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And the third is a leadership mindset that really embodies the pillars of UCLA Anderson and really taking the best of the past, but also keeping an eye out for the future as well. I chose BCO for my field of study because I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or at least I always wanted to test out what it's like to be an entrepreneur and whether that was for me. However, I've always also had a full-time, safe, steady, risk-contained job. And so in the past, I've never tested it out, although I've always wanted to, because it was risky. And I don't know if I had the skill sets or the confidence to comfortably be able to execute on a new venture and give up the safe and steady job that I had. And so when the BCO program presented itself, right, it's a great program. It's structured. It provides you the coaching, the mentorship. It's a fail-safe and learn-rich environment that really gives you your shot at testing out the waters into potentially becoming an entrepreneur. And so that's what I did. And what we ended up doing for the BCO program is we launched a food product. One of our co-founders is from Thailand, and his family actually sells a traditional Thai snack called Miam Kham in Thailand. And we decided to take that product and launch it into the States, called Bangkok Bites, and target the prepackaged fresh goods aisle in your groceries and retail channels. And so during the BCO program, we spent a lot of time on product development, testing the product, getting the product to potential customers, having them try, give us feedback, iterate on that product. And then we did a lot of things on the business side that we learned throughout business school, which was great because I think for a product launch, we're launching a product, it checks off a lot of things that you learn in business school. And so we were able to apply that to the product itself when we think about, what customers are we looking to target? What's the brand messaging going to be? What are we going to put on our packaging? When it comes to strategy, who are our competitors? How are we going to price ourselves? How do we want to enter the market? So all that comes together when we think about launching the product. And then on the other side, we also did a lot of research on the BCO program. There were a lot of hypotheses that we had to test out, right? Whether people even wanted this product, was there demand for it, and we interviewed a bunch of potential customers, industry experts, advisors, people that have launched products in the past. And, we learned a lot in terms of how to launch a product, what are some of the best practices, what are the different approaches, but also even proving out business viability as well. And so for us, hopefully, it's post BCO now, but our team still intends to work on this together. Right now, we're working with co-manufacturers, and hopefully we'll get a product commercially built and into some retail channels sometime in 2021. So that's sort of what we did during the BCO program. Having just completed the BCO program, there are a lot of lessons and takeaways that I'm very excited to kind of carry forward into my future career endeavors. And so first and foremost is aligning motivations and aligning them with your team as well. And so, before the BCO program, obviously during the BCO program, we worked on a product launch. But before that, you actually have to take a business viability class to prove business viability. And then you take a business plan class to put together a business plan. And about 85% through both of those, we actually worked on a completely separate idea. And then, with the remaining 15%, and then the remaining time before BCO, we actually pivoted and worked on a product development. And really, there were two drivers for that. One was obviously the business viability, but two, I don't know if our team was necessarily motivated to pursue that previous business. And so we had these tough conversations as a team to really align, what are we motivated on? What is going to get us up every day to work hard, to contribute back to the business, and to really get something off the ground? And we all decided we wanted something that was a little bit more tangible. And so that's why we decided to pivot into something that was more on the product launch side. And so that was one lesson that we learned. It's okay to pivot as long as, it aligns with your goals, your motivations, and sort of what drives you to work and be your best self every day. And then the second is creativity, right? And embracing challenge. Obviously, we did BCO, and it was during COVID. It was during the pandemic, and it wasn't easy. It was very challenging, especially when it comes to launching a food product, right? There's different sentiments now in terms of like how people look at food, how they, what food preferences they have, their shopping preferences, how food is being handled, but also even getting people to try our product, right? We had visions of like launching into farmers markets and getting people to test our product, and the pandemic completely shot that down, right? Our team was impacted, many teams were impacted. And so we had to figure out like, what are we going to do? How are we going to, do we pivot again, or do we find some creative way to get, to work on the product development, get people to try our product in a pandemic world? And so what we did was we actually, hand delivered product, or got a lot of people sign up, hand deliver them to people to try it and test it out. And you just had to be creative and smart and really embrace the challenge. And, I think the challenge is part of it. But, at the end of the day, there's really no excuse not to be creative. I think there are so many small businesses out there that are struggling right now because of the pandemic. And, if they could creatively, without MBAs, creatively transition their business, whether it's from a storefront to a digital front, whatever the case may be, really in the BCO program, there was really no excuses for us not to really embrace that ambiguity and that challenge and that unknown. And so, for us, it's being creative, learning that if something is unknown, the companies that are innovative are the ones that are going to thrive and survive. And so for us, it's really thinking quickly on our feet, making adjustments, being creative, embracing the challenge, and then you come out better after that as well. So that's something else that I take away from the BCO program. I'm honored to be selected by faculty to be a voice of FEMBA for BCO. And so if you're watching this video, you're probably someone that's curious, you have an appetite for change, you're ready to embrace a challenge, and most importantly, you're ready to think fearlessly. And so I encourage you to look no further than here at UCLA Anderson, a home where you're able to build meaningful connections, a breadth of experiences with some of the brightest future business leaders, a place you could come and make an impact, and hopefully leave this place better than the way that you found it. So if you have any questions about anything, whether it's the school, whether it's the program, if you want to talk to me about who's better, the Yankees or the Dodgers, the Yankees, of course, or if you want to debate me on, where's the best pizza spot in Los Angeles, anything, just slide into my DMs on LinkedIn. Happy to connect. James out.
All right, I promised, you got to have a strong, the fourth leg of the relay, you got to bring it on home. All right, you guys took the baton all the way around the track. Okay, so thank you so much. I love it, I love it, I love it. James, I've heard yours 4 or 5 times now too. You got a lot of little nuggets in there. That's great stuff. Bangkok bites. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think Professor Scheinrock, do you think I babble long enough to be a professor and kind of just talk for days? Do you think I have a shot at lecturing?
I think you need to do a little more. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. You did great. You made all four of you make me proud because you know, BCO is sort of my baby because what the students don't know, when I took it over 5 years ago, we had 4 teams. This year we have 60. So it's really come a long way because of students like you. And then GAP, when I went to USC also. When I first came to UCLA, I was a faculty advisor for GAP for 5 years. So, you know, for the students who are coming into the school, you couldn't pick a better school. And you know, I'm in awe of the students all the time. So yeah, yes, James, you can be you talk to Tony Bernardo and see if you can get on the faculty.
It's great. And you know, Jeff, just to say thank you to you and to Claudia and to Cindy, because you know, Darcy and Samantha and Drew, you know, we're a little kind of guerrilla team last fall, and we were like, how are we gonna try to capture the voice of the third year student, and with COVID and all the interruptions. So for you all to work with the faculty advisors in the sort of 3 weeks that you were able to do while you were getting ready for everything to be delivered in the final weekend virtually, we really appreciated it. And I just want to appreciate Darcy, because Darcy coordinated everybody over the winter break so that these videos could be recorded so we could have them for you folks, you know, who are now our round one admits. We wanted to get these to you in January, and then we're going to have this, you know, this library of stories. We're going to have it for round 2 and round 3. So, but we wanted to get something for you guys as the highly organized round 1 admits. Oh, excuse my dogs. Okay. So Vanessa, Kevin, and Taru, you know, this is for you, and you're kind of speaking on behalf of the rest of round 1 plus other people. We don't have a lot of time for questions, but anything you guys would like to ask Professor Scheinrock or any of our for Voice of FEMBA folks?
I have a question about the BCO program specifically, and it could be a very specific question, but I noticed that the projects that Gabi and James worked on were very focused on launching tangible products. And just based on my understanding, you know, it takes quite a bit of funding in order to do product development and testing and iterating and also actually launching a physical product. So I was wondering how the teams were able to generate or secure funding to support the costs associated with manufacturing and all of that testing. Like, was it more so pitching to investors or funding through the program, or was it bootstrap focused?
The students answer since they went through it.
It's
Gabi,
a great
you want to
question.
go first?
Yeah, sure. You know, and it's one that, you know, I know, you know, as a creative juice, we really were working through it because most of our development was around getting different versions of our box into the hands of people to test them. And so one of the prime business concepts, it was 4 distinct creative activities per box in a monthly subscription format. And so we were trying to test, you know, as many different of these activities we possibly could. And that obviously costs some money. And so there was a lot of weighing, you know, how do we do this as economically as we possibly can? There is a budget with both GAP and BCO that you do receive from the school that allows you to do things that are specifically related to either primary research, survey creation. You know, we used it for us to purchase, you know, these materials to do these initial, you know, MVPs. So that was mostly what we did. A lot of times in normal non-COVID eras, you can use them to, you know, go to trade shows or pay for the registration fees for those kinds of things as well. And really the one thing I do want to note too, you know, while James and I were both focused around product development and we're launching like a tangible piece, there's no, your grade and your ability to be successful or not successful in BCO is not tied directly to you, whether or not you're going to launch a product at the end of this. You know, Matt Long, who's my other partner in our second venture, Perfect Castle, his team actually went through something very similar that James did, where they were doing a, you know, kind of a leasing company
through the first two classes of, EVI and BPD. And then by the time they got to BCO, they had to pivot completely 100%. And they did it something in fintech instead. So if you do those pivots, if you do that work and you kind of, in the grand scope of things sort of end up back where you started, but you've done the research and you did the work to understand whether something was viable or not, or whether something actually works, and you're learning and you're going through those kind of pain points, you can be just as successful in that space.
I would just also add, Vanessa and everybody else out in TV land, if you plan on developing software or a phone app, just make sure you have an engineer on your team, because that'll definitely make everything a lot smoother. And as for budget, of course, because Cindy and Rihanna were able to secure an even larger budget, I think, for my cohort in 2020. And we used a lot of that towards digital marketing and A/B testing and Facebook ads. So sky's the limit, basically.
And not all BCOs are a product company. We are, a physical product company. One of our most successful BCOs was to solve the homeless problem in Los Angeles, and it's called Community Daylight. And they've raised over $50 million right now, and they're for profit, not nonprofit. And of the 50 million, 25 was non-dilutive from the city of Los Angeles. So we have projects, all over the place. We have an FEMBA BCO project right now that if it works with its patented technology that we're working with the medical school, will early diagnose lung cancer for people. It's a game changer. And it's with a blood test, if you can believe it. So we have medical. It doesn't have to be a food product. It doesn't, it's a variety of projects that we've seen over the years. And by the way, 51% of the students that have gone through BCO, the teams each year, in the 5 years I've done this, 51% launch in some way, shape, or form. It's a huge percentage. So I agree with Gabi and James and Samantha, but I'm proud of the program.
And we are grateful for your leadership. So we're not going to have time really to do a whole lot of Q&A. I'm going to stop recording here in a second. I'll put everybody's LinkedIn links underneath, as James put at the end of his shout out. Just DM me on James out. I love that. But I thought maybe, with the 2 or 3 minutes we got left, especially for our 4 Voice of FEMBA nominees, but any of the committee or Professor Scheinrock, just, 10 seconds of closing remarks. We'll just kind of go around. I'll just call on you. Gabi, we'll start with you.
I just am so just grateful to be surrounded by the people that I am. And I so echo James and Sahara and Rhett too. I think what did attract me most was it's not so the sharp elbows and bumpy knees. And it really felt like it was a place to come together. I remember, Dylan, you talking about, finding your board of directors and in your classmates and peers. And I can certainly say that was very true for me. So I'm just thrilled that it's happened, sad that it's ending, but learned a lot.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabi. How about you, Rhett?
Yeah, I would echo that and say you're just going to be surrounded by a lot of people who are in the same boat in terms of the students, and also in terms of the faculty and staff around you, just really happy to be there and happy to support you. So just lean in and try to get the most of it that you can. And there's just so much to offer, so many connections to make and so much to learn.
Thanks, Rhett. Sahara?
I would just say that, your MBA is an experience that, like, the skills that you learn day in, day out, they're so applicable to work. I mean, Dylan showed you his little sticky note sheet, but here's mine that I used for a presentation earlier today. So, this is such a great opportunity to get your MBA, and especially at an institution like UCLA where you have your faculty so involved. I mean, Dylan called me on my cell phone today, and I didn't think that was weird. It's like, so you get the opportunity to really develop some really strong relationships, not just with your classmates, but with the faculty as well. And I think that's extremely special because
your classmates and your faculty members are going to be lifelong resources for you if you are a Bruin.
I'm glad that I didn't creep you out. That was that would have not been my goal. Sorry. All right, James.
No.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo sort of what Sahara said around, being there for your classmates and sort of the support network that you have. So for example, like, Gabi being in the BCO program, I'm familiar with what she did, but for Sahara and Rhett, like they were in the GAP program, right? And it was so awesome to be here and just kind of listen on the stuff that they did, right? And I think being part of this community of shared success and being able to kind of celebrate everyone's milestones along the way, we're all in the same year, but we don't get to interact every day, but to kind of be here and kind of see the end results of where we started to where we are now, I think that's super cool. And I think that's a community that, a community culture that we have here at UCLA Anderson.
Thank you, James. All right, Jeff, you're our faculty voice today. We're all sort of planets in your orbit, so you get the last word.
No, I would just say that, especially in this weird or unusual period with COVID, I think the school spent a lot of money and resources training the faculty and all the support staff, and we pulled it together well. I have been told the GAP, let's pick on GAP because it's a global program. Nobody traveled this year. The students missed out on traveling all over the world. I have been speaking to all the sponsors and companies that participated in GAP, and I can tell you they were very pleased with the output, very pleased with the quality. And it just is a tribute to the students that we have that rose to the occasion. I think echoing what the students said, get close to the professors you're comfortable with, link into them, stay in touch. I speak to students who have graduated every week, probably 5 or 6, more time now because I'm stuck at home. But 5 or 6 of students who I've had over the years that graduate that come back and ask for advice or questions. And the Bruin alumni is extremely strong. I'm so impressed. And I think you're going to have a great experience, whether you do GAP or BCO. They're both great programs. And I think that Dylan and his team, the people on this call, do a tremendous job with recruiting the best and brightest people. So thank you for all your hard work, and I'm proud to be part of the team. And you can reach out to me too on LinkedIn. Jeff out.
All right. Well, thanks everybody this is our watch party number 2. The voice of FEMBA. Getting your voice out there. You guys are UCLA, right? You're the next great generation of leaders. And for those of you who are stepping into this, my intention is whatever you're aiming at when you apply, now that you're admitted, I want you to ratchet it up a degree or 2 more, because your trajectory is ever so much more important than your position. And if UCLA can raise your trajectory 1 degree, 2 degrees, and then you can maintain that for a lifetime, the delta over time is tremendous. And we're in the future business. That's what we do. Your future, our business. And so just enjoy these pre-MBA months, the 0 year. Vanessa, Kevin, and Taru. It's a great chance to dream big. Talk to your mentors. Watch these Voice of FEMBA videos. Watch the Drive Time videos. You spend time on the Anderson website, because there's just so much going on. Nobody knows what's going on at Anderson. Nobody has an idea. There's too much. And it's a build your own adventure. So, you're making the investment now, just learning what's out there, and that'll all be time well spent whenever fall kicks in on August, whatever it's going to be, August 30th, first day of the actual start of the program. Okay, so we went several minutes over, 4 minutes over. Happy Friday evening, everybody. Thank you so much.
Stay healthy and stay safe.